Hello and welcome back yet again to Dad the Influencer, a podcast about travel, technology and innovation, so admirably broad in scope that it has, without apology, come to encompass history, art, religion and politics in a way that will stimulate the neurodivergent, amaze the neurotypical, and leave everyone else wondering whether they accidentally subscribed to a different reality entirely. Through interviews, dialogues, and monologues, we explore our shared humanity through travel, technology that enables it, and the ecosystems that reward elastic thinking and have the good sense to encourage innovation.
Yo.
Okay, so say something.
Hello.
There we go.
Nice.
Hello, I'm walking with Dan, with Lurk Skywalker, not Dan, not Derek, Lurk Skywalker. It is, what's the day today? It's a sunny day. In July. Dan's working and getting ready for the Shambhala festival. Is it Shambhala, is that right?
Yep.
And we're about to light up some cigars, so bear with us.
First time smoking a real cigar.
So we've got some Monte Cristo number 4s, which we bought. There's nothing quite as punk as smoking in Vancouver, because Vancouver really hates smoking.
Yeah, there's no smoking, but you can drink in parks.
Can you drink in parks now in Vancouver?
Some of them.
Ah,
People say you can't smoke in parks, but people still do.
that's true.
Especially on our street, on Commercial Drive.
So one of the interesting things about Vancouver is that when you leave Vancouver Airport, there's can't smoke anywhere in the airport like most places, but when you leave, you see a big sign saying pot smoking section, and then there's another bit where you could smoke cannabis, and then there's another ecumenical bit where cannabis smokers and tobacco smokers can hang out in peace, love, and harmony. So, all that's to say, welcome back to Dad the Influencer. Today's guest is Lurk Skywalker, Vancouver-based MC, DJ and producer, and half of Vibe Selectors.
Hey.
There we go, part of the Digital Motion Squad, and someone who describes his own sound as storytelling bass music.
Nice.
Down-tempo, dubstep, grime, UK garage, all blended together and given away free on SoundCloud.
Hey.
He also stars in his own podcast, Lurk Alley Chats, covering the local art and music scene, which is exactly why I wanted him on this podcast today. So let's get into it. Lurk, you bill yourself as a storytelling bass music. What does that actually mean when you're stood behind the decks, and how does a DJ tell a story rather than just build energy?
So basically, I kind of just coined that term, storytelling bass music, and I think I kind of started with Vibe Selectors, so Madison Barno, my best man at my wedding there, and you met him. He's been a sound engineer. His dad actually brought him into it because he's been a mixing engineer for 20 some odd years, probably longer than that, probably 30 years or something like that.
Nice.
And over the course of the last 10 years, me and Maddie kind of got together just out of, we didn't even really know each other. We met each other through some people and kind of just had the idea of the greater good of connecting to make music, because we were both passionate about it. He could teach me the knowledge and that I so desperately wanted at the time. So over the course of 10 years, he kind of just drip fed me knowledge while I was DJing. And by this time, I think I started DJing about 15 years ago or something like that. Just with the dream of like really wanting to be able to play music for people. And then, so I'd make music with him, and the DJing is kind of a different art. I mean, if you're not playing your own music, it's kind of like a continuous mix of other people's music, which you can depict a story with, based off of all the genres and your own specific sound signature and style. But anyways, so for a long time, I would just go to Maddie's house and be like, yo, make it sound like this. And he would kind of just orchestrate it. sometimes I'd go over there and just pass out on his couch.
So you tell the story, he orchestrates it. You sleep for a bit, you wake back up.
Well, yeah, right. Until I had like the journey of production of like producing your own music on these like programs, DAWs, they're called, digital artist workplaces. So it's kind of like a program that like someone, I don't know, I think it was Steve Duda that actually made, I don't know if he made synthesizers or he made the actual programs. I can't remember when. I could be completely wrong on that too, but so to wrap your head around like the whole mixing of writing music, so that's like equalizing all the sounds,
yeah,
and cutting out like some of the bass like frequencies and resonances from like the instruments and stuff like that. So like so like people when they start producing, they're like, what do I do? What do I add? Right? So it's like it completely, for a long time, you're like, what do I do? And some people either like overproduce or so that means like you're messing with your snare for like an hour and it completely like stifles the flow of like you trying to make a creative idea.
I see, yeah.
So until you create like an infrastructure of sounds or instruments that you like,
yeah,
it's hard to like throw things together, right? So
you're creating the elements, create all the elements, then you put them together into a story.
Yeah, so basically how I discovered it, like I said, through DJing, and that's like mixing songs into a continuous mix, which there's like on the actual mixer. I'm sure people have seen it, but like people that have no knowledge of DJing and stuff, they're like, are you making the music up there?
Yeah.
Right? Like there was that layer of mystery when I first started that like you don't really know what's happening. So basically, long story short is like you're mixing a song and then halfway through the song you're cueing the next song like in your headphones, and then slowly like matching the beats by like spinning the jog wheels, which is either like spinning the song faster or slower until you match the beats, also matching the tempos before you do that so that the tempo ranges match up. If you don't do that, it's just gonna be like, people would call it train wrecking. Anyways, and you're mixing like the highs, the mids, and the lows, and then eventually switching the basses. So when you're making music, it's like very similar. Like you're actually equalizing, you're actually doing the stuff that you're doing DJing, but in every single individual track in a production. So so until you like understand even DJing. So I did DJing for like a long time, opened for tons of international artists of all, usually like dubstep, drum and bass. Me and Maddie did drum and bass, and then anyways, it took me about 10 years to like finally wrap my head around production.
Yeah.
And then to actually choose a bunch of sounds, because there's two ways you can go about it. Like you could get a synthesizer and try to make every single individual sound by scratch. So like it starts with a sound wave. You like go into the synthesizer, it's like, and then people like turn knobs into like, and craft their own sounds out of nothing. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Madison make like a kick and a snare from scratch. Like he took a sound, it was like a, and then he's like, and then makes it, so it's like on another level of, but the thing is with that is like, you become such a master of like crafting sounds that you want to make everything from scratch. Now there's sites like Loop Cloud and Splice where you can get like sounds and presets and all this kind of stuff. After listening to electronic music for about 10 years, I kind of knew what I liked. I liked older elements of like older dubstep. Yeah. And then I also realized that I like electric organs and I like electric pianos. And so it was a mixture of like making drums, finding an instrument sound that I like, creating a chord, and then creating bass sounds. And then if you have to think about it like a band, you know? Yeah. Someone would add drums, someone would add bass, someone would add guitar, right? Yeah. And it's very similar, but just with different sounds.
And you're doing down-tempo, dubstep, grime, UK garage, as well as what you've just said with just other older stuff. Yeah. I know you've got a penchant for a bit of soul music at the moment.
Oh, hell yeah.
What pulls you towards mixing them all together rather than just like picking a lane?
So it started with dubstep, and like, I don't know, it was like the more heavier, more North American bastardized version of dubstep, which was like Skrillex, and which I never really had knowledge of.
So we're lighting cigars here. You see, Lurk's missed the rookie mistake of the cigars. You have to remember that it's about at least every 30 seconds or so you have to take a decent haul off it. So he's just relighting the cigar. And do you know what? While you're doing that, also explain. So you're half of Vibe Selectors, part of Digital Motion Squad.
Yeah.
What's the difference between, are they crews, collectives, bands, brands?
So Digital Motion was actually run from my friend Blake. He runs Digital Motion. So what Digital Motion was actually able to even happen was his dad, Dale, has been running a club night at Red Room for about 27 years called Caribbean Nights.
Red Room in Vancouver.
Yeah. So it's the longest club night in Vancouver history. And which then, like, Blake, as a young lad, I think he was like 20 or something like that. We're not 30 now. I've been promoting with them for like over 10 years. As a young lad, he had already established this night for like 6 years before I even like discovered it and went to it. So yeah, it was basically birthed from like his dad owning the club for so long, or renting the club and having this club night. Nothing going on Saturdays, or a bunch of random events going on Saturdays. Which then he eventually made Digital Motion, and he's been bringing international artists from all over the world since.
Nice.
I think he just did his 16th year anniversary or something, so it's been going like half the amount as his dad's club night, which is pretty wild.
Any big names that people might have heard of?
In the electronic realm, yeah. Yeah, lots. Charles I, Caspa, Dub Police Tour. He's had, what's it called? Mala's label. Oh, I'm blanking right now.
But a good selection.
Many, lots of facets of drum and bass, dubstep, house music, rap. He played, actually, before there was Digital Motion, there was like a whole, I think that's what Blake was into, was bringing hip hop artists and like artists like Mercules and like Stomp Down Killers, and like that was a different time. I'm not too savvy on what he was bringing before, but.
Well, here's the question: is so you do grime in UK garage a lot, unmistakably London music originally.
Yeah.
How does that translate into a Vancouver audience?
So, I was really into hip hop, really old school storytelling hip hop. and then I kind of heard grime, which is basically the UK equivalent of
very
hip-hop,
story based,
right? Yeah, very story based, funny. They got jokes, but it's different tempo. It's at 140, so more like old school hip hop's more like the 85 tempo range, or boom bap, would rather be called, more like. Whereas grime's more like. It's got a different tempo, it's got a different groove. And then obviously the accent and everything, it's just its own. And honestly, I discovered that, I was really inspired by that. So I began to, also dubstep. There's an artist named Plastician, he's from London. He's one of the forefathers of like that sound, and kind of integrating the grime and dubstep not crews, but cultures.
Yeah.
Together, and kind of playing them both in sets. So like, and then I kind of discovered, it's like, if you're dropping a grime song, like I said, they're both at 140, you'd be dropping a dubstep song, mixing in another grime song, so like the dubstep bass line is playing, and you double drop both songs, so like one of the dubstep bass line is playing, whereas then the grime a cappella or the grime MC would come in, and you can kind of blend both sounds together. And I would play like one dubstep song, then one grime song, and then it's like the grime song comes in, the guys over the dubstep bass, and then I would drop, and then the grime song would come in, and then I'd drop another dubstep song, bring in the other dubstep song, and then you would kind of switch the basses, and the acapella is still going over the bass, and you can kind of go from like dubstep to grime. And Plastician was one of the dudes that really discovered and coined that, and he was the first guy, I think it was in 2000 or something like that, to have a first show dedicated to grime and dubstep on Rinse FM.
Okay.
Yeah, Plastician. So anyways, yeah, I kind of just discovered that on my own, and then did that for a long time, opened for a ton of artists under Digital Motion. And then honestly kind of wanted to make that myself. I do have some songs that almost like are teetering on the edge of grime, but I'm like from Canada. So it's like, I don't think anyone has done that. So I'm like, yo.
No, but then, I mean, you know, I don't know if you've heard of some of the like Toronto gangster rhyming slang and all that. Like, it's interesting because Canada, I guess like a lot of places, like, you know, there's places that feel real and places that don't feel real. Like Detroit feels really real because it's like Detroit and you see it on TV, and London feels really real. But like Canada's, it's a real place. There's like, you know, there's real poverty. If you go down to East Hastings, you see stuff that you wouldn't expect to see in Canada. Like you see the fentanyl lean, you see you know, there's some hard times here as well, and that's where a lot of music comes from, isn't it? The
struggle.
The struggle and that bit of the soul. Now, is there any genres that you've tried to mix in? You thought, oh, I'd love to do this, but like you just can't. You're like, oh, this doesn't work. I want to.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, it really depends what you're kind of trying to play. Like, especially in DJing too, it really depends if you're opening for an artist. Like say I was opening for a Plastician, right?
Yeah.
I would kind of play to that kind of sound. I don't know. If I was gonna play a dubstep show and I have like ton of my down tempo bits, which are more, you know, late night, chill. It really depends on who you're playing for, depending on what I would play.
Okay, so you can fold in any genre, but it has to be the right setting.
I think
the right vibe, the right time.
Because if I was opening for an artist that was like, you know, in your face dubstep, wobblers, playing some crazy kind of in your face dubstep.
Yeah.
To step up and play, you know, really chilled out beats, it might not translate as well. So like, people might just clear the dance floor.
Yeah.
Or you go too crazy and people aren't ready for it.
Yeah.
So it'd be like in your face drum and bass, which is like way fast.
And I suppose that's the live element, isn't it? Is that you're sitting there and you have to take, you have to take the mood of the room. You have to read the room. It's not just going up and, you know, Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead, used to say he went up and he'd strum his chords, DDD, and then sort of walk off. And they were they played to the vibe as well, but like, not in such a, in fact, that was their thing, playing to the vibe in a way that didn't feel like they were playing to the vibe. Like, is that the same as what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to DJing compared to like a producer coming up who has like all original mixes and all original sets, basically they have enough songs where they could just play their own music.
Yeah.
So after DJing for so long, playing other people's music, opening for artists, which is something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Until I had my own music to play, like eventually it got a little bit like not as, you know what I mean? Not as euphoric, not as fulfilling. Eventually I was playing other people's music and I was like, you know, I was kind of wanting more. So on the journey of production until I like made some stuff, which like I said, took so long to
learn, to get the
unpack,
mechanics.
Yeah, to unpack and create that like infrastructure. And what I can relate it to is like I said, you have just, until you have like 5 sounds or like a couple instrument sounds that you kind of like to go to, like I said, like the electric organ or the electric piano, where I could like make some drums and then just kind of play a chord. Yeah. And then like the inspiration would come from there. But for a long time you open up a project and you're like, it doesn't go anywhere for a long time. Just finishing stuff, like finishing songs and then like making them playable and then mastering them. Yeah, there's a whole thing. There's a whole infrastructure you have to learn. And then like I do relate it to because I was never like a visual artist, but I always had, you know, pictures in my head. And I think everybody does have that to some extent. People have visions and like stuff that they wish that they could.
So I've always wondered this. So do they, or do neurotypicals, which I'm too hard on them a lot of the time. But do they just live a vapid existence that don't have this? Like, is this just the neurodivergence that we sit there with like a million ideas going around our head that if we don't release them, like things just get more, I don't know, psychedelic and weird? Or,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I don't expect you to answer that question, 'cause I don't think you know either, but that's a philosophical question for the ages. If anyone has an answer, send us a postcard with your answer.
Please do, or hop in the comments. But yeah, no, I think everybody is creative. I think creativity has been atrophied from us, and I do think like people are like, can I create? And I think we're artistic in our own ways.
I think you're right as well.
And like for me,
Even the neurotypicals, if they exist,
I think everyone's a little bit neurospicy.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. And everyone's a bit artistic, which goes into, so you're doing your own podcast on local art and music scene. So you're giving away your podcast for free, which is cool. I assume that's because you just want to create a scene, or you just want it to listen to, or?
Honestly, so I'm definitely a fan of podcasts. Now I follow, I think it started for me never having time to actually peep podcasts, to me being at work and being like, oh, I have 8 hours, I can actually listen to
stuff. Yeah.
I can listen to stuff. And then like what even like started with podcasts, because you're like, I don't have time to peep a 3-hour conversation.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Joe Rogan, there's a ton of like really good podcasts that are really like good independent journalism that the mainstream media kind of would never say.
No, or they can.
Yeah, exactly, because it's funded, right? So then now you have all these like independent media outlets that are actually saying real things, endorsing real products that they believe in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then like a lot of them do it real visual, and it's not kind of just like, oh, this guy said this. Like people are actually pulling up all the information right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like started from like back in the day, you'd be like, what does Mike Tyson think?
Yeah.
Now there's a 3-hour long-term conversation where you actually get to peep and like look into someone's like life and like how they actually are.
Yeah.
So that was like really interesting to me. And now.
So that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. You want to go out.
Well, I guess Lurk's Alley Chats was starting my like, kind of like my dipping my feet in the water of just adding a little bit more sophisticated dialogue and to electronic music that people are like really hungry out for, because everyone thinks like it's techno.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks everything is techno, where it's like, no, this is where every single, and I think like EDM is just a package that, you know, record labels and all that stuff have like packaged all of these individual cultures into this huge package that you can kind of buy and that they can profit off of, you know. But every individual electronic and, you know, rock and roll and all that stuff have their own individual cultures, their own individual customs, their own, you know what I mean? Whoa, cool car.
Okay, just as we're saying that, a pretty cool Nissan Mustang car, complete with Japanese anime painting, and what do they call the rear spoiler, just went around a roundabout, which is surprisingly prevalent in this bit of East Vancouver. But I felt like it came out with that cultural moment just at the right time.
Needed recognition.
Just at the right thing. I have to admit, this is such a gorgeous place to be walking around on this summer day. But yeah, so what's the state of the Vancouver's, let's call it underground base? Can I use that as a?
I think honestly,
it's hard not to know what to call anything, because exactly as you say, everything gets packaged and put down. But I'm going to call it the underground base.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I would say that. Honestly, I think now more than ever it's flourishing. A lot of people are. Back in the day, it used to be like there'd be raves and there'd be like 6 people there. Now it's like, obviously, with the explosion of electronic music. And then also, there used to be like there's like this one company called Blueprint out here, and they're kind of more corporate. They don't really care too much. I mean, I'm not gonna say they don't care about the curation, but they don't really care about the underground culture as much as like Red Room does.
Okay.
Red Room kind of just like, they have this specific curation, which is a culmination of like the festival scenes like Base Coast and Shambhala, and it kind of brings the people like people from all walks of life, honestly. If you go to like regular old Granville Street, you know, you're gonna get shitty bouncers and you get shitty bouncers and normies and people that are just out to party and stuff like that. Whereas Red Room, you'll see people like 20 to like 50. Okay. And like everyone bumps into you and they're like, sorry, and everyone's like really nice. And
okay, so if you're serious about this, that like if someone's traveling to Vancouver, they're coming in, they're for whatever reason they want to have a good night out, you'd say Red Room if you really want to get into the cool. And is that every night, or is that you have to
every Saturday?
Every Saturday. Okay.
But if you want to see rowdy Spanish music, rowdy Latin music on Fridays, it's a completely different scene though.
That kind of sounds fun as well.
Honestly, yeah. There's a reason it's been going for as long as it has.
Yeah. So the scene's growing right now. It's good.
Oh yeah.
The venue. So you said Saturday nights on the. We just passed another brother with a cigar walking down beside us. We gave ourselves some very good looks. The smoking is really bad for you. I wouldn't want to be actually promoting it, but I do like my weekly cigar. But yeah, so is there Red Room Saturday night? Any other clubs? Any other nights? Obviously Shambhala, which you're going to, but that's once a year.
There's tons of like little hole in the wall venues, little after hour spots that are kind of crazy in their own. Basterdam. There's like 5. There's another company called Kumo, Koji Aiken. There's a bunch of people doing almost what Red Room is doing, but there's a bunch of subdivided, own curated events that never used to be in the amount that there is now. So I would say that it is evolving.
And what do you think outsiders, whether that's people from different places in Canada or people coming in from everywhere, what do you think they get wrong about the Vancouver scene? Do you think people know that there's a Vancouver scene?
I think maybe not a lot of people know about it. I think people are like, yeah, we go to Granville or we're going clubbing. I think it's different if you actually have a knowledge of the music, right? It's like some people are like, we're going to the rave. They don't really even know it's ever even happening.
Yeah.
Or you actually have a knowledge of like what you like. You know what I mean? Some people are going to parties. Some people are like, yo, I like drum and bass only.
Yeah.
And then another thing about understanding about going to like Red Room for so long is you go to a dubstep show, there's that individual crowd that likes that. Or there's a drum and bass show, and then there's like some artists that are like big enough that like everybody goes to them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, you know, more of the top tier artists that like people are more knowledgeable about. And then there's stuff from like the UK that's like super obscure that like Blake will bring legends like Joker or like some artists that like people still don't know, but they're
about
legendary.
To find out.
But they're legendary.
About to find out.
And some events I'd be like, what? No one's going to this? I'm going myself. And then lucky being able to like go to Red Room and then be on the Digital Motion crew is to be able to go to any show for free, and then also bring people that are new and people that are interested in the new sounds.
This is what's cool about the age we're in and SoundCloud and all these things, is that like there's a real internationalism, there's a real like you could go out and you can find these things a lot easier than you ever could. But for that to work, for that not to become the same boring thing anywhere you go, which you get with so much, like you go to shopping malls. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've been in shopping malls in China and Middle East and Canada and in Latin America, all over the place. They're all the same.
Yeah.
And it's the differences that makes things cool. And what's really cool is like taking UK grime and dubstep, bringing that to Vancouver and saying, we're not doing UK dub and grime step, we're doing Vancouver dub and grime step.
Yeah, right.
Grime step? Did I say dub?
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Grime step.
Grime and dubstep.
That sounds fun.
I like, grime step. Maybe this could be the new Vancouver thing. But yeah, and I think in order for the global thing to work, you have to be, and I do think like people are going to get more and more local in the next decade or two.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to, because in a world where everything becomes the same, in the world where AI can produce all sorts of like genuinely interesting and cool music,
I think it's...
You want to see somebody on stage with a deck, with a guitar, with a synth, with anything, and like doing something new and genuinely interesting. But you can do that in a city where there's guys driving around in Japanese anime cars with spoilers and, you know.
I do think that, like, even the grime sound, people are like, everyone kind of knows about it now, like, thanks to the internet and all that stuff. Like, I even saw like a video of like Mumbai, and these guys are like dropping a song called like Sounds of the Dance. I don't know, just like a very like old school grime song. And then the guy's rapping it, but like in Indian.
Nice.
And it actually sounds insane. So like I feel like the sound, the underground sound now is like almost like known. Which is like crazy because it used to be obscure and no one would know it. You know what I mean?
But
like,
you create, what was it today? I can't remember the name of the band at the fan zone at the P&E or whatever, for all the FIFA stuff, and it was
Lazy Syrup?
Irish, it was an Irish Indian crossover band. I'm gonna have to look up the name. I can't remember who they were called.
Delhi to Dublin?
Delhi to Dublin, that's it.
Dublin, nice.
Yeah, exactly, like that type of thing. And it's like, so here you are in Vancouver listening to...
I think they're from here, aren't they?
Well that's,
They've been huge. They've been playing here for like 20 years now.
And I don't know if you know Spirit of the West, who at one time were a big band, and they did Home for a Rest, that a whole generation will know. But they did basically Vancouver, Celtic rock and roll, kind of all mixed together one, and it was fabulous because it was its own distinctly Canadian, but also not like trying to be solely Canadian, not like let's go on a moose with a hockey stick Canadian. It was like actual real like whatever real is, it was it.
Yeah, I think that they would consider that world music now, that like adopt elements of like all music. And like some electronic artists, Closey is another one, it's like C-L-O-Z-E-E, incorporate elements of like live instrumentation from world music. Yeah. Which is another whole subgenre.
And I know world music is a thing, I know it's real, but I kind of hate the term because because it has an underlying thing. It's like places where you live where people are quite close-minded and they'll call people foreign. You know, I lived somewhere where basically if you weren't from a city that was about an hour away, that's about as far east as you could go before you were from upcountry. And you could say you're from London, or you could say you're from Timbuktu. They don't care, you're not from there. That's, you know, that's that. To me, that when you say world music, it's always like, do you know what? The world's a big place and everywhere's quite different.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also real that, you mix different elements. You take, I mean, Indian music's probably one of the most underappreciated in the UK and in Canada for actually having some really cool elements, some really cool vocal changes, some really like legitimately diverse whole set of things that come out of India, but you really have to pay attention.
Oh yeah, I think that like now, because there's like Bhangra, I don't know if I said that right, but that's with the drum, but I think that like they just discovered like old school like hip hop production from like the 90s. Yeah. So you'll hear like auto tune and like old school hip hop beats like on their productions now. Nice. So that is like starting to take hold over there even, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. I do attribute that to the internet. And you know what? You're talking about soul music. At your wedding you played some soul music. Oh yeah. That's a whole thing, and that's like these genres, these sounds, they come and go, but they also come back again. And it's like Eric Clapton largely revised the blues in an era because he really liked the blues. Yeah. Took that, built on it, made it have something. I actually have no idea where we are. No, maybe let's walk back. We are somewhere in East Vancouver. Not sure exactly where, but we'll find our way eventually. So, if someone never heard bass music and you had to give them one track, yours or someone else's, what would the entry point be? Oh man, you probably have to narrow it down to like maybe five artists that really were kind of like, whoa. Early dubstep, I think 2013 UKF dubstep on. Well, I think there's like 5 subgenre channels of UKF now, but back in 2013, UKF dubstep. I'd say Zed's Dead. So Zed's Dead's like, I mean, I would consider them a dubstep group, but now they kind of had stayed true to their sound. So like I said, they have a collection of like 5 of their own sounds, bass sounds, instrument sounds, and they're kind of making all genres of electronic music, whether it be house, dubstep. But something that's really interesting and really cool about them is you search them up, like their new stuff is like they do a lot of remixes of old music, whether that be soul, rock and roll, and then like on their live sets, it's like the videos like the band playing it like in the 50s.
Nice.
And then it builds up into a drop and there's a and it's their sound.
Yeah.
So like I would have to say Zed's Dead's up there.
Zed's Dead's, that's the one.
Another one's Flume. Flume is this guy from Australia, which he kind of coined this genre called like future bass or future trap, right? And it's more like chordy and really instrumental.
Yeah.
He's kind of his own stuff. And then like another thing is there's some people that, you know, they make like dubstep or they make drum and bass. And then there's some real people that like kind of take all of the influences from everything that they're inspired by and they kind of make their own like new shit.
Yeah.
Which then like initiates 5 to 6 to 7 derivative artists that like almost sound like them. It's almost like they make like their own new genre.
Yeah.
Rez, R-E-Z-Z, that's another one. She kind of made this like mid-tempo-y kind of 100 BPM, right? Like there's just some of these artists that stand out. Cone Sound, K-O-A-N Sound. They're from Bristol, actually. They're insane live instrumentation, and they kind of do everything live. I got to show you some videos of Cone Sound now.
Nice.
They're fucking amazing. So yeah, Cone Sound, Z, Flume. I think those are good 3 starting points.
Yeah, okay. And in your podcast, I think you're going to kick it off by doing some recording at Shambhala.
Yeah, I started, thanks to my wife, Ruby. Well, I was been talking about this. She helped me get my camera and all that stuff. But yeah, so it started with me going to Red Room Forever, talking to people. And there's always great dialogue, great connections and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I thought a good starting point would be to start there. But as a fan of like long-term or long-form podcasts, definitely. And then also over the last 10 years, just being a friendly person that I am, connecting with people, I've almost already done the groundwork to know a lot of these artists that are like pretty big out here.
Nice.
Where we've actually made friendships. So now it's like, if I was starting here now, I'd be like kind of a little bit more scared to approach people. Now it's like I feel like I've gotten the social anxiety of just going up and talking to random people, first off. And then now building friendships and a reputation through Red Room and through playing and then through my own alias.
Yeah.
And production and all this stuff that people actually, you know, they're focused on like what I'm doing and they actually care. Which is like, a lot of people only post their music, you know, I'm posting stuff about life, positivity, and then I'll sprinkle in a little bit of my music stuff,
here and there.
right? And then people are generally interested.
That's the storyteller's instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I guess that's, I've always been a storyteller. I always talk a lot. And yeah, so now it's like I've always, like I said, being a super fan of podcasts and just media in general and documentaries, I've always had kind of a vision. And then, so yeah, that's where it sparked to just doing like an independent documentary of Shambhala to try to scratch the surface of that festival. But then again, my one friend Contra, I'm actually interviewing him at Shambhala. It's his first time. I met him 10 years ago, randomly at Shambhala.
Yeah.
He's came and visited me. He lives in Portland, Oregon. And last time I saw him, he came to Victoria. And I let him stay at my house. And we went over there. And he's a podcast guy too. And we just sat there and he's like, you gotta do it, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
Yeah. And when's your first episode and where can we find it?
I think it'll be on Spotify, or I'm not even sure. Where do you drop yours?
Spotify. When you first start off, Spotify is reasonable. Spotify is a reasonable they host it. Yeah, it's fine.
DistroKid.
You
and
could
all
get
that
better
stuff.
ones better, I think, when you start getting the listenership that you want to start monetizing them better. But yeah,
Yeah, once
drop
you're
it on Spotify, syndicate it to Apple.
Yeah.
That'll be a good start. So,
Apple
and
Music or
people can
whatever.
see you and follow you on Instagram.
on Instagram, on SoundCloud. I mean, all I have is music out on my SoundCloud right now, but
And what's your, where would they find you on either?
Lurk Skywalker _VS. This is in Vibe Selectors.
Vibe Selectors on Instagram.
Yeah, Vibe Selectors on Instagram as well, but usually I'm just repping my own page, Lurk Skywalker _VS
Cool.
on Insta. And then, yeah, that's going to route into the long form podcast, which eventually in the after Shambhala, you know what I mean?
So that'll be
In this next
September.
year. Something like that, yeah.
September 1st. Should we give you a date?
Hey, September 1st? That's too early. Let's go October 1st.
October 1st. Yeah, fair enough.
But I'll have tons of content coming out on Lurk's Alley Chats
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Lurk, it's been great chatting with you. Gonna have to get up a map in a minute and figure out actually how we get home. And look out, I'll announce on my podcast when it happens. It's been a great time. You've been listening to Dad the Influencer, talking about travel, technology, art, and all things wonderful. And we'll speak to you again soon. Thanks, Lurk.
Thanks, man.
Hey.
Hey, that was good.
You have been listening to Dad the Influencer, talking about travel, technology, and innovation. Please subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss the new episodes. If you would like to talk about something on this podcast, travel related, technology related, or about innovation, please write me at dad@dadtheinfluencer.com or leave a comment wherever you are listening to this podcast.